Hello students, and welcome back to the second part of your course orientation. I wanted to go through a few things on Blackboard with you so you would know where to go to find the things that you need. So first thing I want to show you is that we are currently here at the course orientation tab, and that's where the videos are uploaded to kind of show you about the course. So that way you kind of know where that is, and that's basically all I'm going to put there is just these videos. The next thing to note is you can get your syllabus and calendar right here. And if you want to be able to get that or access that at any time, you'll be able to find it there. So I do encourage you to spend time reading and understanding the syllabus to make sure you understand this course and how things will go in the course. Also, on your first quiz, there will be a couple of questions about the syllabus, so that'll hopefully ensure that you'll read over it and make sure you understand. I want you to make sure and look at that calendar. There are very important dates on that calendar. For example, all of the work that is assigned for a week will be due the following Monday at midnight. So I will expect for you to have turned in everything on Monday at midnight, and I will spend the next few days grading the assignments that you turn in by midnight on Monday. So make sure you turn everything in by midnight on Monday. Also, that will verify your attendance in this course for the week. The attendance marker, as I've mentioned before, or in the first orientation video, it will be your quizzes. And I'll show you where to go to access quizzes. And that's one of the last steps in the assignment, so that kind of ensures that you will put forth the effort and go through and do the work that needs to be done to be counted present for the class. Also, what you'll find on that calendar are the weeks in which you will have proctored exams. These are super important because I need you to sign up for those right now. So go through the process of signing up for proctored exams. I do believe that these proctored centers are not open on the weekends, so you'll have a Monday through Friday period in which you can sign up for these tests. You have 2 proctored exams that are regular exams, and then you have a third final exam that is proctored. The 2 proctored exams that we will have will be a Part 1 and a Part 2. The Part 1 will be lecture-based questions, and you'll get a grade derived from that particular part. And then Part 2 will be lab-based, laboratory-based questions, and you'll get a major lab grade test from Part 2. So both of those 2 proctored exams are split up that way, and then towards the end of the semester you have a final exam. The final exam is comprehensive per the PRCC policies and procedures, so that's very important. And I believe it's extremely important to have a good comprehensive final exam to know exactly what you've learned from this course. So that actually tells me how well I've taught you, and it also tells me how much you have learned. So a comprehensive final exam will basically be on everything that we've covered throughout the semester. The next thing to look at here, you will see that there's an instructor information tab here, and that's useful if you can't remember my information and you need to get it really quick. You can just click on that tab and my name will pop up, my title, my phone number, as well as my email information. But you can email me directly through Blackboard. I'm really quick, usually about checking my email and getting back to you on email. I do ask that you give me at least 24 hours to respond. 48 hours obviously on the weekend, but a lot of times it's quicker than that. It just depends. I do have small children. I am a full-time college student working on my dissertation, so I understand that what you're going through as a college student, but I also have the same stresses that you do in that sometimes I won't be able to deal with you immediately. So just give me 24 hours and at least 48 hours on the weekend, but it's very likely that you'll get an answer from me faster. Now the next tab is really important. It is going to be the weekly instructions tab. That tab you will click on, and what you'll do is when you get that particular tab up, and it's not there right now, I just realized it, but I've emailed them to you, the weekly instructions tab will actually have your instructions for the week. And when you go there, it'll be a module like this, and it'll tell you the dates so you don't get confused. And when you pull that up, what will happen is it'll be just like a Word document, and it will have a checklist. It'll say, these are the things you do this week, and you can check them off if you want to print it off and check them off. And then it'll have a checklist for these are the things you turn in this week. And then it may have a few more instructions. I'm going to try to give as many instructions as possible so that you can make sure you have as much guidance as you need. And you'll see it's set that this week's assignments are due on Monday, August 27th at midnight. I do realize Blackboard has been up and down for a couple of days. So of course, if we continue to have issues with that, we will talk about whether or not we need to extend, give you an extra day or something. But right now, hopefully Blackboard will be back up and we will have it to use. But that's where you'll go for the weekly instructions. So once you get acclimated to the course, I recommend each week that's where you start. Go to your weekly instructions and see what are we going to be doing this week. And on those instructions, you'll see what we'll be doing in lecture and what we'll be doing in lab. And it'll be separated that way. In your weekly instructions list for lecture, it's probably going to have, for lecture, it's going to tell you to get your chapter notes. And of course, those chapter notes are right here. And then it's going to tell you to read the chapters that go along with the chapter notes and kind of study. And then it's going to tell you to do the enhancement assignment that goes along with that. And you'll go to this tab here to get that. This is the enhancement assignment tab. And every single chapter will have an enhancement assignment for you to do, except for chapters 2 and 3. Those are combined. And I'll tell you that chapter 2 and 3 is totally biology review. We don't spend a lot of time on those, so we'll spend next week totally on that review. And you'll have an enhancement assignments and quizzes for that. And I'll give you those instructions, of course, in those weekly instructions. And I'll get those up here where you can actually see all the weeks and see everything that will be coming up. But that's where you go to get your enhancement assignments, right here. Now let's talk about enhancement assignments. Let me be specific about those assignments. Enhancement assignments are assignments that you can do as many times as you want. Those assignments, I'm going to take the highest grade. So you'll want to use your textbook and notes to go through those assignments. They're not timed. You can do them repeatedly, so you should make a 100 on all enhancement assignments. They are your practice, per se. Now, once you feel very confident in the chapter, your next thing will be to move on to the quiz. And that's really the last thing you do in a chapter. That tells me when you take the quiz, and this is where you go to get your quizzes, that's the quiz tab. When you go here, that tells me you've conquered the chapter. You're ready to take a test there. And what you're going to have is just a mini example of a test, like am I ready? And it's going to be between 10 and 12 questions. But here's what you need to know about quizzes. You don't need to click on the quiz until you are ready to take it. You only get one chance at a quiz. So each chapter will have their quizzes. You click on the quiz and it will be timed. So you will have 15 minutes to complete the quiz that goes along with the chapter that has been assigned. You will basically be, when you go to take the quiz, you will be given the questions one at a time. You can go back and forth, but you'll get the questions one at a time and you'll submit that quiz. It will be between 10 and 12 questions and you will have 15 minutes to complete it. In an ideal situation, you would not use a textbook because you would be preparing for a test in which you are not allowed to use textbooks. So we're trying to figure out what you know and what you've learned from the course. So I can't control whether or not you use a textbook for this, but I would recommend you not use a textbook for this because it's basically a mock situation for a test, letting you know, are you ready to take the test on that chapter? So do remember, quizzes are timed. You only have 15 minutes. When that time is up, if you have not submitted the quiz, it will auto-submit for you.
The quizzes, again, are 15 minutes, 10 to 12 questions. You have one per chapter. This week, and we won't do discussion boards every week, but this week we have a discussion board. Of course, you'll go here to complete that, and I encourage you to do that as soon as you can. I've learned a lot about students in the discussion board, and the assignment there will help us get to know each other. So please make sure you do that assignment, and it's an easy 100. So just to recap, this week, and you'll find this under the assignments, you'll have chapter notes, and then what you'll do is an enhancement assignment on chapter 1, a quiz on chapter 1, and you'll also do a discussion board this week. So you'll actually use all of those tabs this week. Most weeks you will always have an enhancement assignment and a quiz due. So, but the weekly instructions will tell you exactly what you should do that week and what is due and what you should be turning in. And all of those grades will be in the gradebook center. And remember, enhancement assignments, it will take the highest grade, and you can do those as many times as you want. But on quizzes, don't click on them until you're ready, because it's one chance. You get one chance on those quizzes. All right, I do need to go ahead and tell you that I made a mistake on the first video. I told you you would go to a different place to get your lab material. In my Blackboard course, they actually give me a shell for the lab, but I didn't realize that you did not have access to that. So I moved everything over into this shell. So you'll go to one place to get everything. So your lab stuff is also found here. So what you'll do is I made a lab tab, and here it is right here. So when I actually click on that, let me go ahead and erase that, and I'll click on it so you can see what you'll find. When you go to the lab tab, that means you're ready to work on your lab stuff for the week. And basically it's going to have a folder in it called Lab Assignments. The Lab Assignments tab is going to tell you exactly what you need to do for labs. So when I click on that, it'll have Lab 1, the date, Lab 2, the date. And this week we're doing virtual microscopy, which I have emailed to you. So here's the microscopy. Usually when you get here, it'll say Lab 1, Lab 2, Lab 3. When you click on the lab you're doing that week, you'll have links and uploads. So this is a Word document in which I'm giving you some basic principles of microscopy and really some important things to remember. I'm hoping that I can teach you enough about microscopy that if you walked into a lab, you might be able to work the microscope. So that's the goal here. When you click on the virtual microscopy here, spend a lot of time there. Make sure you look at every slide and go through the process. It's teaching you the concepts of real microscopy. I hope that I could then, after you've done this, I could bring you into the lab and you'd be able to do it. So spend a lot of time there. Then, when you go back to the lab tab, you saw that under lab assignments there was also a lab report tab. That lab report tab is where you'll actually turn in work. So when you, for example, I will put up a microscopy handout for you to do. So it'll go under here. So you'll turn in, and the assignment is not there at the moment, but it will be. You'll have a place to turn in that lab report, and this time it's just going to be some questions that you answer about the microscopy lab. So easy enough, you go to just this one tab called Lab to do all your lab material. And so hopefully that'll help you and make it easier that you just have one place to go to take care of those needs. Now, let me show you a couple of other tabs. These two tabs here I downloaded because they have really awesome material. I will not take any grades here, but it's there if you need some extra help. The chapter contents has it divided by chapter, and you can go in and do really cool stuff. You can label pictures that you'll see again. You can answer questions. There's just all kind of activities to help you to see, do you understand the material for that particular chapter. Study Tools is really cool too because it has a glossary. So if you come across any terminology that you need to or need a clear understanding on, you can go to the glossary and you can look up the anatomical terminology. Also, there's a histology atlas. We'll be dealing with tissues, and you'll have to be able to recognize those tissues, understand all their functions. I believe that's chapter 4. So we'll start that. That's a very important chapter. Understanding tissues is extremely important. It's foundational to this course for AMP2 because every time we move to another system, you'll have to know and understand the tissues involved. So it's very, very important that you spend a lot of time learning the tissues when we get there. But there's a lot of cool things in chapter contents and study tools. I think there's also flashcards in study tools. Well, if you like to study that way, there's some flashcards already made for you. So I recommend if you have any problems or just feel like you need extra help to spend time there. It will really be helpful to you. All right, so let's look. The last thing to look at is the rest of these tools. You can see your grades by going to My Grades. You can send email. There's an email tab. Here's where you can schedule your proctor exams. There's that information. Remember, you need to do that as fast as possible so that you can get the dates that you want. I am recommending for you to sign up the week of November 26th to the 30th for your final exam. They do open up final exams the week before the Thanksgiving break, and I just would feel much better if you took your final exam after you had totally completed all the assignments and all the work. So go ahead and try to schedule your final exam for November 26th through the 30th. If you end up with a date before Thanksgiving, it's not a big deal. You'll do fine. You'll get most of the material. I just would feel better if you could sign up for the November 26th through the 30th date. So it's really important for you to go ahead and sign up for those dates, and that way you won't be pressuring yourself at the very end to finish up the course to take that final exam. I believe that is all that I need to show you on to orientate you towards the course. Of course, if you have any questions, email me. Hopefully you have a good understanding of how enhancement assignments work and how quizzes work, but I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.